We are live.
Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Welcome to What Needs to Be Done Today, also known as WNTBD Today's Network. This podcast is sponsored by the MAAT American Aboriginal Tribal Nation, and we want to welcome in and give honor and thanks to our ancestors. In particular, Noble Theodore Scott Mitchell Bay, who is no longer with us in body, but always with us in spirit. It is because of his support and vision of the matriarch leading while being supported and protected by the patriarch that we are here today. Noble asked each of us one very question, one very important question, I do apologize, for our lives. What have you done? What have you done? What have you done? Please welcome our podcast team, Sister Carmela Mitchell Bay, a wife of Noble Theodore Scott Mitchell Bay, Anita Wills in her absence. Oh, did she make it? Okay. Tracy L. Bay, our podcast moderator normally, and Chief Malo Imroja L. Bay, also Dr. Malo, and I, Shatika Killebrew Bay, our podcast team coordinator. After our speaker, we will have an open discussion, and you can type any question or comment in the YouTube chat or also in the Zoom chat. You can raise your hands via Zoom and also the dial in. For the dial in, please use *9 to raise your hand and also *9 to lower it. And also to unmute yourself, use *6 as well as *6 to remute yourself. Thank you so much for you all joining in with us today. And I'm going to pass it over to our guest speaker today, which would be Sister Carmela Mitchell. And her topic would be, oh, terrible. I'm sorry. And her topic would be, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm a little disordered.
No problem. Got you, sister. It's Matriarchs through the generations.
Okay, you texted to me. I apologize. I was looking for it in my email.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you, Tracy, for that assistance. So the floor is yours, Sister Carmela.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shatika, for introducing me. And I'd like to thank all of the people who will join us in the future because we are on YouTube. So this will last for years and years and years to come. Thank you for celebrating my husband. He really took to heart the fact that this world would be a better place if we actually learned to let women rule and man do the hunting, so-called hunting. So, I love that he is still being honored. I thank you for joining us in the last of 4 discussions of the matriarch. We've had some wonderful stories. And if you haven't done so already, please go back to our YouTube channel and just listen. After this week's dialogue on the matriarch, we're going to pivot from the matriarch and start a new topic in next Wednesday, and that's the beginning of May. So don't forget to join us then. To end this discussion for now, I wanted to look at the matriarch through the generations. So I asked a baby boomer all the way down to a millennial to describe what being a mother is, a matriarch, and how raising children has become different during this time, during the generations. As you listen, wait for the first speaker. She's going to really give some good advice to those who are younger. That's like 20s, 30s. She has some good advice. The second speaker really shares a lot about how we should care for our elders. And I don't know if this care is still going on in what we do today. And the last matriarch gives us a view on parenting in this new season of our lives. As always, at the end of this video, we're going to open it up for discussion, and we'd love to hear what everyone has to say. Chief Malo is going to be working my video. The 5 people here probably know that I'm technology. Technology is getting better every day. But so that it's flowing, Chief Malo has volunteered to help me. Thank you. And while she's getting ready, if you look real closely in my screen, you're going to see 2 beds behind me. I am actually not even in my own home. I am in the bedroom of my great niece because our internet stopped working yesterday. So I had to do some quick improvising. I thought it would be on today, but it wasn't. So my great niece has graciously allowed me to use her bedroom. And I think the volume isn't turned on. I just saw something at the bottom of the screen saying it wasn't on. She'll start all over. Hey, Sister Nita, how are you? Unmute yourself and say something. My niece is on there. Hi, Tracy. Nope, you got to unmute.
Hello. So happy to be here. So proud of you for doing this. I just have to get that out the way. Sorry.
Let's see if it works this time.
I've been married for 37 years to Michael. Our kids are 16, 19, 21, 22, 33, and 35. I'm a baby boomer. I would describe myself as loving, strict, caring, kind, hands-on type of mom. I take your failures and your accomplishments personally. My mom taught me to stand. She taught me to listen to learn and not listen to talk. She gave me her quick wit. She made me understand how to be safe and get from point A to point B. She taught me how to cook, and she taught me how to make do with what little I had. To my young mothers, I would just say, stop. Just stop. Everything that was taught to you by your parents was not all that bad. Trust me, hurting you was the last thing on their mind. They didn't wake up and say, let me see how many ways I can hurt my kid. They were trying to give you a glimpse of their life experiences with the intentions of saving you from hurt and pain in their way. A better outcome. So stop blaming. Deciding to withhold the way you were taught. How about changing the delivery and maintaining the experience of the life lesson?
It says, celebrating wisdom and strength, honoring the lives and stories. Their resilience and contributions shape our communities and culture. Women who embodied our rich history, showcasing strength and resilience and wisdom that inspired future generations in the pursuit to do what is honorable, what is true, whatever is, I can't see the word there, what is pure and what is commendable. The person that you see in that picture is my great.
Over a family member's home, or
you can go on, Milo. This woman that Milo just put back up is my great grandmother. And the next speaker is actually going to address that our great grandmother was in our home.
go over a family member's home or like walk into a friend's home and the mother would be there and also the grandmother, the great grandmother, and then a great great grandmother. She would be there as well. She would be like in a hospital bed or some kind of bedding in the front room, or she may be in the bedroom. But that played a significant role in how I am now as a nurturing grandmother and mother as well. I was able to see firsthand exactly how mothers do it. And it was all about unity. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody would come together and take care of Big Mama. Everybody did that. It wasn't no complaining about it. You know, when you did it as a team, it wasn't so hard on you. And you lovingly did it. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it'll be them, I'm sure it's those times when, you know, you will be a little tight. But it was the gratitude and just being humble to help Big Mama that was back there in the bed, right? You just knew it was the right thing to do on a soul level of love and light and remembrance of everything she did for each and every one, right? She's the matriarch. And that humbled me as a child to see her in the bed. She had like gray hair. Oh. She probably was like, she'd be like 108 or something like, or 100, and, you know, like 102, something along them lines. But they used to live, matriarchs used to live old. And as a matter of fact, if you went to a funeral in the 70s, 9 times out of 10, the person in the casket was an old person. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't young people in the casket like it is now today. But anyway, I want to get off subject. So yeah, that meant a lot to me. And also, I want to say in the household, you know, the mothers, you know, to be the aunt, the grandmother, mother, it don't matter. You know, they all come together in the kitchen and they would be talking and laughing, and they might have some music playing, having a real good time.
I actually cut her off. She had more to say, and I'm hoping that she comes on a little later. But I admire the part that she was saying about our grandparents and great grandparents. They ruled from that hospital bed. They were our matriarchs. On the screen, there is my grandmother, and it says celebrating wisdom, the invaluable contributions of the matriarch in our community, embodied resilience and strength, sharing their rich experiences. I wish she would have gone on more about how we treated Big Mama, but however, she might join.
I am 36 years old. I am a mom of two. I have two boys. They are 7 and 9. I'm married and I am a millennial. My characteristics as a mother, having to reflect even on this because I feel like I'm still in survival mode with two young boys. It's challenging to even think about, but I would say that I am very focused on conscious parenting. I am a lot more focused on gentle parenting in the sense of understanding that there's typically behaviors are communication for children, and a lot of the times when they are quote unquote acting out, they are trying to communicate something that they don't know how to communicate. So my husband and myself decided that we wanted to break some cycles and take away a lot of the children are to be seen, not heard aspects of parenting, and actually say, well, our children are humans and they want to be heard and they deserve to be heard, and life is hard. And if we don't teach them how to navigate some of these big feelings and some of the things that we go through, then they will end up being dysregulated adults. So we focus on gentle parenting. Like I said, a lot of breaking of generational cycles. I would say, a lot of the stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about type thing is not how we operate. We allow tears. I allow big emotions. I would just like to say that I'm present. I try to be as available physically and emotionally to my children as possible. It's something that is extremely important to me. And it came from the type of mother that I had. My mom is a very present mom. She was hands-on. She was available not only for me, but for my friends, for my cousins, for my aunts, my uncles. She just was the type of woman that you knew you could call her and she was there. And having that stability and always knowing that no matter what, no matter, it could be something small, it could be something huge, I could have really messed up, I could be really excited about something, that her as well as my father were the kind of people that I could pick up a phone and they were there. It's still something that I have, that I'm blessed to have at 36, that they are the kind of people that you pick up the phone and they're there. And that's something that I wanted my boys to have. I wanted them to know that they weren't alone in this world, and that I'm there. When them seeing me come down the hallway, I show up I do all of our class field trips. I'm the room parent. I'm the mom that'll go pick up their friends. They have somebody in their corner no matter what. Life is a lot, and especially in the world that they're growing up in now, which was a lot different from the world I grew up in. I'm a 90s baby. I'm 89 going into the 90s, and the 90s were just, kids were outside and we were having fun. We didn't have to worry about social media or, screen time. Like, what was that? If our show wasn't on, if it wasn't 10 a.m. and our favorite Saturday show was on, then we were moving on and we were outside.
And she had more to say, but I stopped her also. Now, this is a picture of my mother. It says empowering voices, celebrating the wisdom and strength of our community members. That's her 75th birthday party. This is one of my sister's parents, celebrating women. I always want to honor their wisdom and strength. They're our matriarchs. Until we meet again, a big thank you to all of our matriarchs through the generations. As if you heard the time frame that each of these people were speaking. One was a 75 and the other was an 89. So I tried to get a real snapshot of one 15 years, the other 15 years of something that was real wise. And I don't know from all of them when the first person came on and said, we didn't wake up in the morning, and I'm a baby. We didn't wake up in the morning and decide that we're just going to ruin their lives. And children think that they tell it this morning, and for no other reason, you're going to ruin our lives. We didn't do that. We're trying to teach you what we have gone through. Wouldn't have to go. And some people learn. Other person, the middle person, I thought that hers was just so relevant. And I don't even know if people still do this today. And maybe when some of you get online, you can tell me. Did your great grandmother stay with you until she passed away, or a family member? How about your great grandma? How about just your grandma? I had the pleasure of aiding my mother and my dad after one had a stroke. They came to live with me. And so my children got to see them every day and night for the last 7 years of their life. And it was just wonderful, catering to their needs, bringing up the music that they like to hear, celebrating those things that they like to celebrate, watching the Cowboys over and over and over. I even forget some of the names that Dad Festus and someone else, but he just loved the Cowboys. So in the family room, when we were all there, we couldn't watch what we wanted to watch. We had to watch the Cowboys until he was sleepy enough to go to bed. And then the last person who spoke, he didn't really say anything bad about us baby boomers. And I'm glad, because we in our family tried to make sure that we didn't tell our children, you better stop that crying or I'm going to give you something to cry about. And yet I remember that being said. You better dry up those tears or something else would happen. You better shut up. We didn't do that. That children were only to be in a corner or away from us. So that's my 3-generational study. I had one more, but they didn't, it was just getting too long. So thank you for letting me share.
Excellent. Camilla, that was excellent.
Yes,
Thank you so much for that. Brilliant.
Yes, yes. Give me just a second, everyone. Thank you so much for that powerful message. We love and we are so grateful for you. The floor is now open for discussion. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you would like to share, the floor is yours. As always, all we ask is that you please be respectful and keep your comments to within 3 minutes to allocate time for everyone to have the opportunity to share. And if you're on the dial in, don't forget to press *6 to unmute and *6 to remute yourself, but also *9 to raise your hand so that you can be acknowledged, and *9 to lower your hand. The floor is open. Look, let us not all volunteer at once.
I really went on in everyone else's family with grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents. What was your family's tradition?
Look, I was glad. Oh, I see. Anita has her hand raised. Sister Anita, go ahead.
Yes, that what she just shared, Sister Carmela, could have been the way that I was raised with my paternal grandmother. We called her Granny. When she got older, she went from living, from living in the house that my father and his brother, his siblings were raised in, from living in that entire house to being relegated to a bedroom in the living room downstairs. And that's where she used to, at one point she would sit on the porch every day and rock, and then she became bedridden. And I remember going in and we would take turns going in and keeping her company. And her favorite show was called Queen for a Day. So every day around that time, I would go and watch Queen for a Day with her. And and she was, like, just, to me, when she got older, even though she was in pain, she was still, this sweetheart, because she called me Nene. Nene, go in the kitchen and get me this. And Nene, come out here and, pull back my covers, or, do some, bring her some food or whatever. And I felt honored to do that. And one of my aunts, there was always one of my aunts who were free to live with her and take care of her. It kind of changed during the end, when she, before she passed, and they hired somebody to go in with her. And my other grandmother, my mother's mother, she was bedridden because she had leukemia. And, we would go see her, and she was living with my aunt, my mother's sister, and they were all taking care of her. They would give money to take care of her. And I remember that about my grandparents, that, they didn't have Social Security. My grandfather worked all his life and was not able to leave, didn't have Social Security. She had the house that was paid off, and the family, the children, took care of her. They donated money to make sure that she had food to eat, and, and they got her to the doctors. And so I today have an aunt who is 100 years old, and she lives with my cousin in her house that they own back east. And also, I have my oldest aunt lived to be 102, and before she passed, and she stayed in her house, and some of the grandchildren and children stayed with her. But we were not able to do that with my mother, because when we came to California, we didn't own anything. We didn't have houses that, and weren't in it. Well, we did. Some of us were buying houses, but we had to work every day. And when she got sick, she stayed with my sister. And then towards the end, when she got really, really sick, my sister was working and I was working. And so she was kind of had dementia or Alzheimer's, and she did have to go into a nursing home, which was very painful for her. And I remember going to visit her and her grabbing our arms and wanting us to either take her or stay there with her. And then she passed. My mother passed. She was this age I am today, in the nursing home the day after 9/11. So she passed on 9/12/2001. And so that was different than my aunts who, my family members who stayed back east, and they had homes. Like my mother's sister, another mother's sister, she lived in a house with her grandchildren and her daughters, and until she passed. It was just understood. And that's so different from the way that things are now. Like, my daughter lives back east. My son lives, in Atlanta. And it's not the same thing that we live with our, we're living with 2 and 3 generations. And I miss that. I miss that about us. But the way that things are set up in this capitalist corporate society, you have to go where you got to go to work and take care of your family or to even have a family. It's just things are different. But the thing is that we know and we want to plan to get that back. I think that's what MAAT is about getting that back, that trust, that community, and the unity that we had, and taking care of the elderly and making sure that they are they're comfortable, that I'm elderly. What am I talking about? Making sure that, I never feel lonely though, because my children, if I need something and I call, somebody's going to get it to me. So I don't,
Sure.
and I think it's because we're in this, the age of information, and I can get on here and see my daughter and, and talk to my sons and stuff. So we're good. We're so creative, and I'm so proud of us. And we are this matriarchal people. We're the ones that are making it possible for the next generation to have it even better, and
Sure.
that's what I have to say. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, Sister Nita, for sharing your experiences, because every one of our experiences are monumental and inspiring. And just like Sister Carmela said, just to hear her playback of her nieces, that's inspirational to see the generations working together. And that's the objective of this podcast, to bridge the gap. And I think it's ironic that that's what she did this month for our closing of the topic of the roles of the matriarch. Because it's crazy that that's where the discourse is, that's where the disconnect is, the separation of the connection between mothers, matriarchal lineage. And when we can get that back on, I swear we raise greater children. Just to hear 3 women in a household, the children could never be neglected. The children could never need, the children could never not be seen. Well, excuse me for the double negative, but the children are always seen. And so I find it so inspirational. And I just wanted to say that in regards to you sharing your experiences as well, because that's what I see. When I hear you all stories, these are the same stories that I heard from my grandmother. Her grandmother came to live with them, and she passed while she was living with them. And those are stories that I've heard from my ancestors, but we didn't get that experience. And I want to change that. And I'm hoping that as a nation together, uplifting women so that we can step back into the matriarchal role, that change definitely comes within the next generation. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone has anything that they would like to share?
Wanted to just add one thing. Probably Sister Anita knows this too. But when our grandparents or great grandparents called, it didn't matter if you were in the bathtub bathing. You said, yes, coming. And that meant you got out of the bathtub. And sometimes I think they just did that on purpose. Like, Grandma, you knew I was in the bathtub, but we weren't allowed to say, huh? Or what? Didn't matter. You said, yes, coming. And then you got in there.
Ashe. I find it so ironic. So many things are running through my mind, but I think about how what really destroyed, because what you all had was respect. You had respect for your elders, and it was not out of fear, it was out of love. And that's what transitioned when we got supposedly freed from the plantations and started to go back on our own. I saw a lot of the controlling through fear. And that's what shifted. It went from controlling through love and guidance to controlling through fear. And so then the rambunctious and the chaotic disorder came from it. And now we're trying to rectify that. So that's the biggest change. Giving them love. And when we give them that unconditional love, they give us in return that unwavering respect. And that's something that I just had to mention. And I have said a couple things, but Sister Carmela, I did the you. I wrote me a couple notes out of your speech because I had to reiterate some things that resonated for me. But these are 4 things that I wrote down. If everybody carries their weight, no one suffers. So the way you said that they would all take care of, well, your niece said that they would all take care of a big mama. Everybody played their part and nobody was overburdened. But when nobody in this generation, only one person stepping up to take care of big mama, everybody else living their life, that one person suffering. That one person trying their best. And they showing up as much as they can, but it should not be that case. The next thing that I wrote was the generations working together. The fact that you all said that there were 3 generations, 4 generations in one household of women, and they were all contributing in their own aspects, that's what we're missing too now. We have so much of an ego. We want to stun on people. We want our biggest houses and say we're so independent. But what is wrong with needing somebody? Like, that's where I'm at with that now. It's like, I don't understand. I'm vulnerable enough. And that's why I did that topic last week, being vulnerable. Because when we're able to be vulnerable, we can realize it's nothing wrong with needing help. Everybody needs help. No one is perfect. But if we make up in our mind that I got it all by myself, when you rise to whatever you're rising to by yourself, you're going to fall by yourself. And you cannot be mad if there's no one there to pick you up because you pushed your loved ones away. Another thing that I wrote was the love and the loyalty that it builds. That working together, that's where the respect comes from. That's where the loyalty comes from. And that was the dynamic of the family that made it so strong to there was no way for the exterior people to infiltrate and destroy. But when that started to dissipate away, it was easy to destroy a family by infiltrating because there was no loyalty built on love. And my last thing that I wrote was we didn't have retirement homes and hospice. There was no hospice for us. If grandmama was ill, if big mama, big daddy was ill, papa was ill, Mima was ill, whoever was ill, we took care of them together. There was no running to the doctor. We had call doctors that would come and just examine them and say, okay, well, yeah. And it was a natural path. We didn't have this running to the hospital. We didn't have the benefits when they first created medical aid for the melanated people. They didn't really offer it to us, so we were still relying upon the land, and we were healthier people. And so we got to get back to that. And I'm just so grateful to be able to hear you all's experiences because it drives home to me that I know that there's something wrong with right now, and that we can have that again. If we come from that, we can build that again. And so I apologize for taking up some time, but does anyone else have anything that they would like to add? If so, raise your hand, or if not, just come on in and speak because at this point, it seems that everybody has pretty much expressed what's within their heart.
So
Yeah,
no
I just
one?
wanted.
Oh,
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, it's understood when we talk about the matriarch by definition is a woman who is the head of a family or tribe. We're not, and that's our purpose of our podcast is like we always say, matriarch led, supported, and protected by the patriarch. So we're not about, I feel like sometimes that word matriarch gets so demonized, even within the melanated community. They think that it's just, they immediately shift their mind to, oh, fatherless homes, oh, ball busters, oh, they just want to be in control, they want to be men. And it's nothing like that. We're all about a village. We're all about community. Everything we're saying that we want for our individual families, we want to extend to all people on this planet, that we all have a sense of family. And when we say matriarch, that's all it is. It's just a woman that's led, that's head of the tribe or the family. Like we talk about the big mamas or the mothers. That's all we're talking about. It's nothing negative. It's nothing to demonize. It's nothing to degrade or base men, fathers, nothing like that. And the reason I think that's just heavy on my mind because I accidentally came across a person who I already know his agenda, so I never even support him or watch him, but I was intrigued by the title of his video, and I thought that he was going a different route, but no, he went his regular ignorant route. but I was bamboozled and I watched it. And he said how, especially in the melanated community, it's just, feminism and matriarch led. And both of those words are always demonized. And so I just have to give people the definition of feminism is the belief in and advocacy for social, economic, and political equality between the sexes. There's nothing negative about that whatsoever. There's nothing abasing men or lowering men or raising women over them in anything that I just read. So I'm sorry, just had to get that out, my little rant about my soapbox. But everything we're doing is in love. Everything we're doing is bringing everyone together and having a community and a crystal village of love, peace, harmony, joy, just a beautiful life. That's our whole main goal. There's nothing negative here. And that's why we welcome everyone of all ethnicities, backgrounds, colors. And that's why, and I appreciate, Sister Carmela bringing those on who, even if they don't look like us in color, that doesn't mean that they don't think like us. Doesn't mean that we don't all have the same hearts, minds, spirits. And that's who we want to connect with. And thank you, Shatika, for that time. I yield.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Look just like us. All three of those people are melanated people. And I say that they had some pretty big knockout fights.
Mm.
By the time the evening ended or the next day, everything was forgiven. You could have a big knockout fight and walk down the stairs and you trip and you fall, and everybody was there. No one remembers like why I was mad at that person. So all of us, I think there are 6 people on right now. We all have very different personalities. We're not all going to agree on the same thing, but we'll agree that we can disagree. And I have to find that nugget of truth in what you're saying inside of me. So family, get ready because we'll be together soon.
Ashe, Ashe. Sister Heliana, I see your hand raised. You're welcome to go ahead and take over the floor if you like.
Greetings, greetings. I'm just sitting here and reminiscing because I grew up not only with my grandmother, my grandfather, I met my great-great-grandfather as well. And we had an extended family household. So I had my aunt, she had 8 children, plus it was 4 of us. Then we had other family members in the same house. And yes, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Now, look at now where we're all separated in our different spaces, right? We're not like that, what we grew up with. But I had to share one part that I will never ever forget. I wish I could say it in many lifetimes though. Is my grandfather. I was home when my grandfather was passing. And the day he got up and he said, I want to have the best day I ever had with you guys. And he tell us to take him around the village, which we did. At that time, he was bedridden and he had a wheelchair. So we took him out and we had the best time ever with our grandfather. He was laughing, smiling, his energy was up. We think but he said, today is gonna be my last day with you guys. He said, I'm gonna transition, I'm gonna go. Right? And we just did that day was like a celebration and an excitement because everybody was excited to share with him. He thought he was telling us that he was a burden to us. And we said, no, you could never be a burden because he always uplifting his spirit. But that day when he passed, I replay it in my head all the time because he was so happy. And he said, I'm going to transition today and I'm going to be all right. And he tell us, remember, you're just a passerby in this space. You didn't come here to stay. Learn what you have to learn. Be the best that you can. Treat everybody with respect and love, and everything will be all right. And what happened? Everyone in the house fell asleep when he was passing. Everybody. Like if he was sitting on the chair, you couldn't hold up. Everybody went to bed. He asked my mom for a glass of water. He drank the water and he tell her thanks and he just show respect to her. And then she came upstairs to the kitchen with the glass and sat on a chair and fell asleep right there. My dad fell asleep. All of us fell asleep. And it's like when he passed over, we got up. It rained for exact 1 hour. The places get dark, it rained, and then as soon as the hour was over, everything was clear and back again. And when we went and checked him, he had a smile on his face. And I tell my mom, I said, Mom, I need to touch my grandpa. And I touch him, his skin was still warm. But I touch him, and when I touch him, it's like he sent a shock of love to my body that even now I can still connect with my grandfather. I have this connection when I'm in certain mode, I could connect with him, and all he just say, you know how much I love you? You know how much we love you? So that is something I say I will share. That is one thing I will share. And the other thing is that one of my he was a year older than me. He died in an accident, and the body went to the hospital for a while just to check to see what went on. And my aunts went and got the body, and they prepare the body. They prepare everything, so I get to see that part because we never used to allow foreigners to take the bodies of our loved ones. The family will take that responsibility, and they will do the whole ritual to lay them at rest. So I get to see that. Right? But now it's different. Now we have allow foreigners in, and they do some crazy things because the rituals that I see my aunts did, I don't see them do those things. You know? So it's totally different now. And I yield. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Sister Leona. Perfect, perfect. And every time someone speaks, certain things resonate that we have to repeat. But for me, the transitioning, we have to stop saying, "Oh, they're dying, they're dying." There is no such thing as death, and we all understand this. Everyone on this platform is understanding of that or comprehensive of that. So that's a beautiful thing. That transitioning in our space is a necessity. I do believe that it gives them the opportunity to reside in our essence, in our energy. Um, and that's something that I think we should do more of. And also, one last thing I will state is the preparing of the body ourselves. I think that's sacred to wash down your forefather and giving washing them with a nurturing care, unlike someone random would give to them. Having the heart in you to adorn their body, even in their absence. You know.
Mhm.
And so I think we definitely got to get back to that. I cannot stand this modern day rituals of funerals, and it's so much more chaotic than what transitioning should be. So I would love to see that change. Sister Anita, I see your hand raised. Is it still raised from prior, or you would like to speak again?
No, I just wanted to comment on what she just shared. Um, and as far as, talking about like my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, he died at home. He was in his 70s and he had cancer. And we all went and did vigil. He died in a bed that he slept in with my grandmother. Him and my grandmother slept in. And we were, I was, you know, all the children were there. My cousins, my brothers and sisters, we were all there. My dad and my mother. And I remember, and in the middle of the night, I think it was, they said he's gone, that he had passed. And I didn't even know what they meant because Grandpa was always there. I was only 8 years old. And he was buried. I don't think his body left that room. I think they cleaned his body because in a couple of days, they had his viewing in the living room of of their house, of my grandparents' house. And back then they were having viewings in the house. And I don't think that my grandfather's body left that house. I think that probably my dad and brother and uncles and aunt cleaned his body and prepared it. And the viewing was in the house, and the funeral was in a church. But that after the viewing, I think that they took him, to the church for the funeral, and then they buried him. And a lot of people's funerals were in house. A lot of the Southern people, like they were from South Carolina, were burying. They had viewings in their living room, and that was, that just when she was talking about that, and he knew he was passing because he knew he had cancer and he was sick, and so we were prepared. They were prepared that night. They did not tell us as children that we were there because he was passing. We just knew we were at the house and all together. And it's so different, the rituals today of taking them to the funeral home. Because my grandmother, who was much younger than my grandfather, she died in the hospital. And she told him, I don't want to go to the hospital. She wanted to die in her bed, just like her husband did. But they took her to the hospital and she died there. And she didn't come back home. She was given to the funeral home. And that broke tradition. That's not the way it was supposed to be. But I wanted to share that because she brought it up so eloquently.
Ashe. Thank you, Sister Anita. And again, you're right. The rituals of the funerals nowadays are not the same. My grandmother passed about 2 years ago, if not 3 years ago. I don't keep up with death dates. I don't know why people do. To me, it makes no sense. But when she transitioned, I apologize. She didn't want to go to the hospital. She had always, her whole life, as long as I've known her, she was always, I don't like hospitals. I don't want to go there. And so my download that I just got then was that it's a necessity for them to pass in their safe haven because it leaves their essence there. When they pass in places that are unfamiliar, the hospitals and things of that nature, I think it's a cutting off of some spirits in a way. And I don't want that to be truly the case, but that is what resonated when I heard you speak this last time in regards to that. And so whatever it is, if it is valid or if it's not, regardless, we're going to rectify it and we're going to change the trajectory of what we've been doing and return back to our forefathers' ways. And that's really what we're doing. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you all for sharing everything that you've shared. It's very inspirational for us to have these viewpoints to shift our perspective. But I think that'll be the closing for us. If you all would join us next week for an episode of It Takes a Crystal Village podcast. The title would be Image and Colorism, brought to us by one, no more than one only, our Chief Malo, also known as Dr. Malo. And we would definitely be sharing the information to access the Zoom meeting because the Zoom meeting ID will be different. And we'll send flyers out with that information to make sure that everybody is prompted with the right location and meeting ID. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're so grateful for our ancestors moving through us, bringing us into the awareness of the things that are changing and that need to be changed. And every time we come, it's just a reminder that change is here. We've been waiting for it for a very long time. We've been fighting for our voices to be heard for a very long time. But now we know the people that need to hear our voices are each other. Trying to expand ourselves to other people, they will see us when we rise. We don't have to solicit them for their aid. We have this, and we just have to continue knowing that, believing in ourselves and moving in our essence. With that being said, that will be the conclusion of our podcast for the day, and we look forward to you all joining us next week for the beginning of the episodes of It Takes a Crystal Village. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Ashe.
Bye.
Ashe. Peace and love, everyone.